This conference will now be recorded.
All right, everybody. My name is Rod Soto. I'm here with Jonathan Respeto, and we coordinate the meetings for Hack Miami. Today, we have introduction to hardware hacking with Hunny, and we basically invite you to join us at Discord. I think Respeto already posted a link, or he will post it again. Other than that, Respeto, do you have anything to say, or?
No, I'm all good here.
All right, then I'm going to pass it to Hunny. She is a member of Hack Miami. She's also been at DEF CON, and she is actually part of the Hardware Hacking Village. And we're going to let her introduce us into Hardware Hacking 101. Take it away.
Thanks. Can y'all see my screen? Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Awesome. All right, I got my subtitles on. Hey, this was probably the most challenging presentation I've ever made, and I want to apologize in advance. I'm sick, so I'm not feeling great today. So if you hear the sniffles and the coughs, I'm sorry. We're going to work through it. As Rod said, I'm a volunteer. I've been a member of Hack Miami for I'm not saying how long, because that's a long time at this point. And I've been part of DEF CON Hardware Hacking Village for about 6 years at this point. You can find me on Discord if you want. That's my specific Hunny. I'm one of the many. I always do disclosures and liability statements at the beginning of all of my presentations for Hack Miami because I don't know what you guys are going to do with this information that we covered today, and therefore I can't tell you whether or not you're doing something that you might not want to be doing, but I will tell you that in hardware hacking, you're definitely going to encounter dangerous substances. You're definitely going to encounter lead, toxic fumes, metals, all sorts of good stuff. So you want to make sure that you are protecting your bodies and keeping yourself safe. And also, you're going to avoid all the warranties on everything you touch. So just know that. And it's your responsibility to stay within compliance of state, federal, national, global, whatever laws. That's on you, folks. Yeah, avoid all the warranties, man. Right to repair. All right, so I'm all about that. But just so you know, that's on you, fam. All right, so moving on. So after doing all this research on hardware hacking, I now get every joke in that episode that I did not get before. Wait, let me go back. So I'm Hunny. I started out in hacking in the SE world, social engineering, as a defensive skill. And once because I got hacked pretty hard and I wanted to make sure it didn't happen again. So I started learning everything I could learn, everything I could get to. And I liked it and I was good at it. And the more I learned, the more I realized how social engineering is really creepy. And OSINT is even creepier. And I kind of wanted to start researching what I considered to be the polar opposite of those skills, which was hardware hacking. After this presentation, I'm gonna stay where I belong in SE and in OSINT, because this was meaty for me, and I hope you guys gained something out of it. I learned so much doing this research. So yeah, don't break the laws. Safety equipment also, just, you know, you're gonna inhale a lot of these fumes, and you don't get prophetic visions from it. You just get brain damage. So please just make sure that you're protecting yourselves. And also make sure that whatever substance, especially if you're soldering or desoldering, whatever solder falls down. So make sure that it don't solder over your lap or over like your skin. And if you're going to do that, just wear natural fibers so that you don't burn your stuff off. Right. Okay. So what is hardware hacking? It's not what I thought it was when I started this presentation. It's not what, it's so much bigger than that. It's huge. Basically, any alteration of an electronic device or machine that makes it do something that the original manufacturer didn't intend. You can add parts, you can take away parts, you can speed up your clocks. We'll get into it, but pretty much like everything can be hardware hacking. So I went down the rabbit hole pretty deep on this, and I came up with a good spectrum of stuff. I learned some stuff about electrical engineering. So if you're going to be in the hardware hacking world, you're definitely going to want to do some basic electrical stuff. That's it. It's also fixing though and repurposing, making your own use for things. So hardware hacking is such a broad topic that I figured like pretty much like everything at this point. Hold on, I'm just checking the chat. So yeah, I put the subtitles to Spanish. The people who speak English can hear me. Sorry. All right, so yeah, so making your own use for things. Does anyone remember Furbies? Furbies are where this rabbit hole led me pretty early on, and I gotta tell you, man, I didn't like it. Oh, they're horrible. I'm gonna show you. Yeah, we'll get there. All right, so all of these things can be considered hardware hacking. It's not just the stuff that you think of like the rubber duckies and the Wi-Fi pineapples. It's the Furby hacking too. All right, tools that I recommend that you start with, and the other thing about hardware hacking is it's super project specific. It's very project specific. So depending on what you're trying to do with what device, on what interface, on what chip, with which sensor or whatever, you need a different tool set. So the iFixit kit is pretty much considered your assembly disassembly kit. Like you mix this with the soldering set, and that's your hardware components for the most part. And the iFixit will help you disassemble some really tricky stuff too. Not that I'm trying to plug it. It's just, I mean, you can go and get all of those tools yourself, but the kit just kind of has everything. Using that kit, you'll avoid the warranty right there. So and some kind of interface, a tool that lets you interact with the chips or components that you're trying to use. I'll give you the top 3 tools that when I did some interviews, I came across, and we'll get into that in a later one. Logic analyzers and oscilloscopes, those get real specific, and there's a whole argument over which one to use in what circumstance. So it's very specific to the project that you're trying to use. I read an article about a guy who hacked a projector, a LiDAR projector, using just an oscilloscope, but in the end, he couldn't decipher the data that he got from it because it was in such raw form. So again, it's very project specific. You're going to need Google, you're going to need GitHub, you're going to need Reddit, and a Raspberry Pi and an Arduino can't help. And this is just my first of only two Hardware Hacking Village DEF CON plugs. They have a Kali distribution, a Kali with all the tools loaded on it, everything you need. It's updated regularly, so it's got all sorts of functional stuff. And I've got links. Every part of this presentation has links to either the article that I got the research from or to the product that I'm telling you about, so that afterwards I can send you you can go ahead and go on a click journey like I did. Yeah, okay, so we're still on the Furbies. Okay, nothing in the chat. All right, so you've got to be able to communicate with the devices in their language. And these are pretty much the top 3 common protocols, languages. Anyway, it gets real deep into electrical engineering. Like some of these aren't really protocols, but just a JTAG is not a protocol. So how you program the machine when you first inject the code, I guess, into the chip. And some people lock their JTAGs, some don't. The JTAG is like most synonymously used with the Xbox 360 hack, but really you can use them for everything. And they do use them for everything. Some people lock their JTAGs, like some manufacturers will lock not the port, but the ability to use it, and a lot don't. So it never hurts to try and JTAG. When you find a concrete definition for the word JTAG, you let me know, fam, because that was one that I had a rough time on too. Okay, so depending on which protocol, what you're talking to, and you just Google it. Nobody remembers everything, so you just Google it. You're like, okay, I'm trying to interface with this microcontroller. You just Google it, and it'll tell you what protocols to use and what machines use it. So everybody uses Google and GitHub. No matter how experienced you are, you can't remember all of this stuff. All right, so I tried to include 3 different, these are multi-protocol variable voltage tools. You can say that 5 times fast and I'll buy you a beer at Winter Hacker Festival. Just take a look at the boards for a second. They're super well labeled. Super well labeled. I hope you're not trying to watch this on a phone, otherwise it's like way tiny. The TiGuard is the newest of the 3. And my hardware hacking buddy Bunny, who is our lead at Hardware Hacking Village DEF CON, this is the one that he uses and recommends. But he says the Bus Pirate does more, but it's kind of a shaky piece of equipment. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But it's great and it does a lot. But the Tigard does what it does very well. And you can see they're almost the same. They've got the same pins, little lights that tell you what you're using. I like the on-off switch for the Tigard. Can you see my pen? If I use my pen, my laser pointer. Here, I'm gonna use my laser pointer. This thing is cool. This eliminates like a whole side of these boards because you could just toggle this on and off. No weird programming needed. So. But the Bus Pirate does a million things. There are links to each of these. Like when you click this, it'll give you, and I included the Adafruit one. The Adafruit one is the cheapest of the three. It does the three main components. You can see right here, it's got all your grounds, it's got all your ports. They're variable voltage means that you can use them in 3 volt or 5 volt. The Tigard goes all the way from 1.8 volts to 5 volts, so that's kind of cool. The 8 is the smallest, but it's also the cheapest, and it's always in stock, so that's always nice. It does IC2, you can see it here. They're labeled very well, so if you want to just take a second to look at these boards, and these are what help you interface with whatever you're trying to interface with, whether it's a screen that you're trying to see if it works, or if it's a chip on a board that you're trying to look at. I kind of just want to give you guys a second to look it over and zoom in. Can I zoom in here? Oh, I can. Look at that. All right.
That zooms
And the
in.
goal is, it's zoomed in? Yeah.
Yes.
There we go. And I just straight up stole these pictures right off the manufacturer website, so it's not like this is some secret. And I give you the link to the stores where you can buy them if you're into it. They're pretty cheap considering all the functions that they do. You can also buy an individual tool to do each of these things if you wanted, and that tool would probably work wonderfully. But then you're carrying around a box of tools, which, you know, some people don't mind. Some people check their luggage when they go to DEF CON. Some people carry a backpack. I'm one of those backpack people. So on top of these devices that help you interface with whatever you're trying to interface with, whether it's a chip or the back of a Teddy Ruxpin, or that one was horrifying. That was the one that's going to be in my nightmares tonight. The Teddy Ruxpin I found. Yeah. But whatever you're trying to interface with. So this is what will help you interface with the hardware. You also need to interface with the software. So let me turn off my laser pointer. Here we go. This is just a drop in the bucket. There are literally hundreds of different softwares that you can use. Free circuit analysis. Oh, thank you. Thanks, Mike. That's what's up. Excellent. Guys, check the chat for free circuit analysis and design. Excuse me. Sorry to cough in your ear, folks. These are all included, and then this is my second Hardware Hacking Village plug, I promise. And the only reason I include this link, this is the link to their Kali distro on GitHub. And it's got all the tools that they recommend using, and that, well, I say we recommend using, but this stuff it goes real deep. So these are some of the tools that you can find the software that you need, because once you interface with the hardware, then you've got to find a way to translate what the hardware is saying so that you can read it and interface with it. The Bus Pirate, and don't Google it backwards, because if you Google Pirate Bus, you get a whole lot of really weird sea shanties and a dude who converted a school bus into a pirate bus. So the Bus Pirate, they come with their own software libraries too. So if you are interested in that hardware, then it comes with the software that you need to read. And then Kali is always the recommended everything for everything. Oh yeah, Great Fet is like another thing. Thank you. Oh, Phil, what's up? Hey.
Hey, honey.
How are you?
Been excited for
Man,
this talk. Good.
oh my God. Hey, you tell me about the Great Fet. I've been talking too much. Tell me about the Great Fet.
No, I don't want to jump in here on your speech, but it's a
No,
good little
I
gadget.
very much do want you to jump in.
It's a great little gadget. I haven't really taken advantage of it to its full potential, but it does all of the same protocols. Does you allow you to do like interactive programming, but the coolest thing that it does is allow you to do USB emulation. So there's some pretty cool attacks that you can pull off by emulating a flash drive and simulating a whole file system. So it's really cool attacks. I've actually been wanting to do a talk on it for a while, but it's a little bit pricier, but it's a really cool device.
You know what? That you pay for quality though. So, and especially if it's going to be something that you use more than once, or it becomes part of your everyday toolkit, I say it's worth it to spend the money. But I also buy a lot of badges at DEF CON. So, but yeah, all right, thanks. Yeah, GreatFed is one of the tools I came across. It's so you can't list every tool. There are so many out there, which is why I say that if you're interested in learning hardware hacking, that one of the best places to start are those Blinky badges from any con you go to. I just saw one that had a mechanical lock that opens. It's from a con that was like last week. It was the shape of a lock. You program, and it had a mechanical like it was it looked like a locker lock, like a combination lock. Super cool. And those are some of the best places to get started because one, you're going to be in a community of people who are trying to do the same thing you are, and that helps. And two, it gives you a focused project to learn on. And that is invaluable because if you just go, okay, I want to learn about hardware hacking, like I did, I started with, okay, I'm going to hack my vacuum. And then I was like, oh man, I really like my vacuum though. And if I break it, which is entirely 100% possible, because if you solder the wrong thing or you pop something, like that's it, it's done. And I like my vacuum, my little, we got one of the ones that's smart enough to make it around the house without falling down the steps, but stupid enough that it doesn't map the room, which I'm really grateful at because we also found that there's a really amazing hardware hack for vacuums where the LiDAR is getting hacked and it basically turns your vacuum into a listening device. Did anybody come across that ever in the hardware hacking world? The hack against it's just like a year ago or so. Super cool. So these are some of the example softwares that I want to say I recommend, but I'm really that are popular. And then the Kali distro on the HHV GitHub has so much. So I wanted to give you some examples of what I've come across, from common to straight up weird. All right, so this is one of the things that people love to do, hardware hacks, is to crack your X. This is an old Xbox. It only works on a certain Xbox before a certain date, and I had one and I lost it in my divorce, and I'm so sad about that. But it's what it does is it allows you to bypass the control mechanism that prevents you from playing cracked games, and you can run homebrew on your Xbox, and it's gorgeous. This is the inside of the box. Again, when I send out the PowerPoint for this presentation, you could just click on the title that's underlined. That's actually a link, and it will take you to the article that I read on how to JTAG your Xbox 360, which is such an old device at this point. I'm sure that there are emulators that are so far beyond this. So that's the other thing about hardware hacking. Sometimes there's just easier stuff. You can just buy it, but that's not about the adventure. You want to be about the adventure. So cracking your consoles, there was a crack for the original Wii 2. That was awesome. And then it just lets you play your homebrewed downloaded games. So fun times. These are probably two of the most widely known hardware hacking devices. You've got your duckies and your pineapples. I don't know if you consider the pineapple, a lot of people consider the pineapple a hardware hack because it's a repeater. So like the signal was only supposed to be within this certain area and you're repeating it, and it allows you to do like man in the middle attacks and all sorts of things. And then rubber duckies are, the ducky itself is not a hardware hack. What you're doing is you're exploiting the key, the USB by, it's expecting a keyboard or something friendly. So by plugging in this thing that reads as a keyboard, and it's a keylogger, it injects programming, it does all sorts of cool stuff. Has anybody ever used one of these that wants to do a swim? Someone who isn't me used one of these, and you guys are so quiet. Should I lean in and wait in the silence, or should I move on?
Sure, I've used a few of them. Rubber duckies for an attack, and a few actually like Arduino-based ones that have multiple payloads. Made a staged payload using one. It was a good attack. Good times.
Okay. Did you have to pair it with an SE attack, or did you just walk in and shove it in the back of the computer and there you go?
Yep, basically.
Oh,
I made a variant for the point was it was supposed to assume no privileges could be used on a guest account, and it worked for different variations like 32-bit, 64-bit, and OS X. This is like 6 years ago, but it was a fun little project.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Yeah, that's the fun part about any of the malicious hardware hacking stuff. Usually, and that's the funny part that I didn't expect. When I started researching hardware hacking and when I started into this world, I started with soldering like everybody else, but I had no idea you have to pair the delivery of these devices with some sort of usually kind of sophisticated SE attack to get them where you want them to be, because, you know, plugging this into a crazy radio from mouse jack attack. Hey, Mike, do you want to explain that out loud? Because I understand all those words separately.
Yeah, sorry, I want to jump on.
No, you're
I'm just
awesome.
really, I'm just really enjoying your presentation. No, it's actually when I set up SocialSec over here on the Southwest Florida, was one of the first demonstrations I did for the crew, just showing that you can buy a simple Crazy Radio PA off of Amazon or any other electronics place, Alibaba or whatever, for I think it's less than $20 or something. It's super simple, the snag one, and you could just use the jacket kit and some Kali and just sit out in the parking lot basically and just scan for the radio signal that's coming off of your wireless mice and keyboards. And once you see them showing up, then you can just intersect the signal and basically inject keyboard strokes, mouse clicks, stuff like that. And so we did a demo of it and basically took over a computer and popped Notepad and Calc just to show what was possible with because people don't typically update their firmware on their wireless mice and keyboards, and it still exists out there because most of the vendors weren't pushing those updates to their firmware. The little universal USB chips you get with every wireless mouse and keyboard. So it's a simple demo to show people, and it still works.
That's unsettling, dude.
Yeah.
That's super unsettling. I'm a little like unhappy that Apple's kind of getting rid of all these ports. I still plug my headphones in when I can, and I'm just like not ready to move over to Bluetooth for everything. And I feel like I'm being forced, and I really don't like it. Like I'm ready to go back to my Walkman that I had when I was a child. Although those are back in style now. So also another example of a hardware hack. This is definitely not what the manufacturers of the gas pump intended. And it's just a little piece of hardware. It just slips right in there. When I was Googling this, just checking my sources over the last couple of days, I came across a news story in Michigan where they did a random sweep and found like, I don't know, between 15 and 20 gas stations in this area that had been compromised. And they think it's all the same group. So these are another example of hardware. I started with the malicious stuff because I know HackMiami is at its core security group. But I got to tell you, hardware hacking gets, oh, this is for you, HackMiami. Oh, babe, can I have the original one? Can I have the link, sis? Do we have any old HackMiami people here? Like, I wonder. No, probably not. We have the original Linksys with the %27 stickers that don't exist anymore. Somehow my husband ended up with it. So any favorite war stories on this guy? Does anyone know who this guy is? Our WRT54G?
Of course, the classic.
I mean, like, I know it's a classic, but I feel like I'm talking to a 101 group who wants me to like lead them through, and I'm just not there. You know, it was a, oh, here it is, here it is. Thanks, baby. Let me, at least I brushed my hair for this. Hold on, where's my camera? I think while my thing is in full screen, it's not going to show me anyway. But we have the original one. It's crazy old. So when they distributed this Linksys router, they distributed it with Linux, and it's well, it's super flexible. It's a super flexible, wonderful piece of machinery that people could use and manipulate and boost your signals and do all sorts of malicious shit on. And after this comes out, you know, the company kind of backs it up on giving people flexibility with their programming and their routers. There's a link to the, I think it's a Vice, all about this hardware. Super cute. It's old at this point. People do still use them, but like, I don't know how. It's good times, good times. So you could just basically patch into this guy, change the firmware. He can be overclock everything. All right, so I think here's where the weird stuff starts. Oh no, okay. All right, so I stayed. These are your blinkies and your badges. This is where I would learn. Honestly, this is probably going to be my next step, is hitting my DEF CON badge for this year. I know most of the hardware stuff on the DEF CON badge this year. Let me zoom into, ooh, there we go, to the back. You know, it's a don't stop the signal thing. Like if you look, can you guys see my mouse? No, you can't. The guy with his mouth open and there's a binary code above his head. There's a little pill there. You're supposed to, oh, spoiler alerts in case you're actually going to do this yourself. Spoiler alerts. Yeah, but if you haven't looked this up already, I don't think you're gonna. So anyway, you've got to like follow the signal. There's a pill here. There's one down in the bottom left-hand corner as well. And basically you desolder one pill and solder the other, and that changes the path of the signal. And when you're plugged into your computer and you got your programs running, it'll give you the next step of the code. The next step of the code is to connect the ET finger, you know, the ET Michelangelo finger, to the Space Needle, or to the ground, because it's just, the Space Needle is just a ground anyway. Yeah, and that gives you the next signal. So this is a great place to start, because one, it gets you used to interfacing between your computer and a board. And again, like I said about the con badges, they get you together with other people who are interested in looking at it. Did you just drop hacker boxes? You did. Okay, I love hacker boxes too. Hold on, Sam says, yeah, but that router was a classic, Sam. If you want to take a second to explain the glory of it, you guys can do it better than me. These are just things that I found on the rabbit hole of what is hardware hacking. Just in case Samuel wants to.
The OpenWRT was just the original. And it was a very good router for what it could do, and it was, people could figure out how to do it. I mean, they do have some modern 5G variants that were WRT, also called like WRT, like I use in, I think it's an WRT 1900 ACs and whatever. So they do have more modern fifth generation Wi-Fi ones with the firmware that the FCC requires lockdown isolated, so you can still edit the device. So
what are the benefits of being able to edit the device? Like, what are the cool things that you can do?
I mean, well, I say I have another one router like it, like I have a Netgear. The Netgear equivalent to the 54G would probably be the 3700. I know it was a workhorse a lot of people were working with, including me. The advantage is you have a router that's to the extent you can do it is, I mean, some of these are 10, 15 years old at this point, aren't they? And you can still get modern updates for them to the extent that you haven't overflowed the available storage space on the device. So you can put mesh networking in them. It's very common to see mesh networking put on these devices, or if you want to install pretty much anything Linux on them that fits, they can. I mean, one like that one wouldn't have USB ports, but newer devices would. Actually, I don't know if the 54G did, but the Netgear I referred to does, and I have the 1900 version has USB 3 on it.
You're kidding.
So you can then attach. So it's basically a device, and you can then attach. So if you want to plug you want to have your networking device do file sharing, it can. Or
Oh, is that how, oh man, is Jax, are you here? Is that how he made his pirate box? It was just a box that he used to carry around, and it would just you could leave something or take something, leave something or take something. It was always powered, always on, and it was just this tiny signal, 15, 20-foot radius or something like that. And he
could
called
also
it
have been a Raspberry Pi in that case, but
Yeah, I think he either used a Wi-Fi Pineapple or a Raspberry Pi.
so fun. I miss him. I hope he's coming around to Winter Hacker. Y'all better come to Winter Hacker Festival if you're willing and able to be in person. I think it was a Pi, but it was like, yeah, that thing was cool. All right, yeah. Do we have interest in making a HackMiami mesh network? I thought we talked about it at some point. How close do we have to be together to do that? Is it a couple miles or is it less than that? It's probably less than that.
it would depend if you're trying to operate under amateur radio rules or
Yeah.
if you're trying to operate within the FCC allowed output of a device like that, and how directional you can point all those antennas.
Okay.
Right. I
So
think it's
project.
I think it's 1 watt limit for Wi-Fi.
Okay.
You'd have to start getting into like microwave links or amateur radio, as he's saying, to do
Like,
any like appreciable
there is
distance.
one amateur radio group that has a link, runs a Wi-Fi link all the way from Delray Beach to Florida Atlantic University, and that's how they get internet.
Oh, that's awesome.
No,
It's to a remote shack. Yeah.
that's awesome. Can you drop? Do they have a link or something where we could take a look at any of that? Could you drop that in the? And we got all sorts of great stuff
I don't
going
know
in
if they
the
have
chat.
a link. Like, I know the link exists. I don't know if they formally comment about it anywhere.
Oh,
I think there's actually 2 amateur radio groups to get their internet through Florida Atlantic University. But
that's pretty there.
I think it's overkill, but it's just where they couldn't get DSL or anything where they put repeaters.
Also, check out Linus Tech Tips had a video. He's done 2 of them on like prosumer grade directional like link-to-link microwaves, so that you can get like a few kilometers distance on like I think Ubiquiti makes them. But again, it's overkill, and they're point to point. You have to have line of sight from one tower to another, so it doesn't make sense.
Hook up your cantennas, people.
Right.
You have those silly, what's their name, which are playing with the low speed mesh networks and trying to mint silly
LoRa?
coins, the LoRa's, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I came across LoRa in this rabbit hole of looking, and I was just like, I'm not covering anything that has to do with radio. I'm not doing anything that has to do with that, because I know we've got experts in the group that are coming up with a talk for that for the next round. And I'm like, I'm going to learn about that a little more before I even touch that with a 10-foot pole with my cantenna.
I've given 2 talks on it, and it is a rabbit hole. Don't go down it.
Can you just give a quick explanation? Because I know there's a lot of newbies on here. That what is LoRa, real quick, and then I know you're planning on something for later, or I don't know if it's you or someone else, but I didn't want to step on that talk.
LoRa, I'm not giving a talk on it, but LoRa is basically just a low power wide area network, and I think it's based on, they're all open like IMF frequencies. I think it's based on 433 megahertz. You see them used a lot in things like I think they use them in, what are they called, like those energy meters, and other devices, but they're pretty low bandwidth. But the nice thing is that they have a long distance and pretty low power requirements.
Well, that's what's up. All right, folks. So this is definitely something that we can expound on some more. All right. So back to the blinkies and the badges, which is about where I'm comfortable, because I love those hardware arts and crafts. And then I just gave you a little piece of what the terminal would look like, how to reset the buttons. Oh God, I love Tindy. Tindy anything. They've got to be somewhere in this presentation. All right. So this was actually the first thing that I was going to do because my Keurig is broken. And so I figured, hey, let me hack my Keurig. And then I started my master's degree. So this is some other dude hacking his Keurig. And he also will go to the next step of plugging the water into a water source that's forever on so that, but you still have to put the little K cup in. You still have to put the cup in. So I'm kind of like unsatisfied with this hardware hack, but don't let me talk shit. It's actually a really good hack and it's smart. He made his Keurig wireless. So he just like signs onto a little website in his morning and like presses like initiate and the Keurig starts brewing, but he has to put the cup in the night before. And then he wired it up so that he no longer has to put water in the tank, but that it's hooked up to a permanent water source as well. And yeah, so it's pretty cool. You still have to put the cup in at the end of the night. So that was the only hang up. And honestly, it's beautiful and it's a brilliant hack. So now his Keurig is wireless. And there's a link to, I shit you not, like 20 pages of directions on how he did that. And I went through them and you got to have patience to be in hardware hacking because it's not, I'm telling you right now, it's probably not going to work the first time you plug it in. There's always a something. There's always a something like a resistor you put on backwards. You can't really put resistors on backwards, but like stuff like that. Like, and then you got to go through your steps and okay, wiggle every wire, make sure you didn't bridge anything or have any gaps anywhere. Did I program it? You know, so just a little bit of patience in yourself. What button down?
No, it's a joke. You know, like you said,
Oh,
resist your password. Like it didn't the first time. Hold the button down. You know.
Have you tried turning it off and on again? So no, I'm joking because I was like, oh shit, am I on mute? Oh god, that would be the worst. I've been talking for like 3 minutes now. So I know every single one of you has felt that moment in the last online year of, oh shit, I've been on mute this whole time. So here we are. Here we are, folks. We've made it to the 1980s hardware hacking, which I gotta tell you, people love this stuff. People are not in the community. The most die-hard people that I've met get the most excited about this kind of stuff. Like people who have like PhDs and or whatever you get for electrical engineering that makes you like the shit at it. Like, I don't know. And they look at this stuff and they're like, oh my God, it's so cheap. So she didn't even hack the bear for this one. I want you to just take a look. This is a snip from the YouTube, which was as creepy as you think it's going to be, by the way. It's actually as creepy as you think. It's worse. It's going to get worse from here, folks. We're only going downhill from here. So she's got it. It's like a 3-track cassette tape reader writer, basically, is what that thing is. And I want you to take a look at the cassette tape in the bear's lap. And I just said that sentence. I'm getting my master's degree, folks. Take a look at the cassette tape in the bear's lap. Those 2 little holes on the sides, the ones that are far left, far right, if you tape over them, it lets you tape over the tape. So what she found out was that when you look at this tape, there's a frequency, or not, there's a track for the audio, like what the bear is saying. There's a track for the music, you know, the background music. And then there's a track that is inaudible that makes the bear's mouth move. So if you only record over the part that's the bear's audio, you can make him say whatever you want with the music behind him. Well, I guess you can record, you could have the bear be like, you know what, let's not get weird, folks. Okay, so you know what, you can make the bear say whatever you want by recording over the proper track. And as long as you pay attention to where the audio signal is for the bear to flap his, and he blinks too. It's a double freakiness. Yeah, he flaps his mouth, he opens his mouth and he blinks. As long as you sync it up, you know, you make the bear say whatever you want and he does. Now, other people have gone a step farther, and you can also get Teddy Ruxpin hacks there where they have integrated a Raspberry Pi, because there's a hole in his back where the cassette tape goes. So some people have pulled out the cassette tape hardware like entirely and just integrated like their own audio speakers and everything into the back of the bear, and then you just put his shirt, you just close it back up, and he says whatever, and it's truly creepy. It's truly horrifying. Yeah, so I linked you to that video there, where you can watch the entire process of her, and she's really like a normal looking lady too. It makes it worse, in my opinion. Yeah. And this was a 2 a.m. find. This was and I'm never up till 2 a.m. Like I told you guys, I've been sick. So I've been up late doing my schoolwork and my own research for this. And this is what happens when you mix circuit bending. Circuit bending is a whole weird, awesome music, a lot of music, a lot of that music that hardware, that DEF CON is all about. It has a lot of electronic stuff in the background. That's circuit bending. So people took like the circuit bending plus the Teddy Ruxpin and Furby hacking, and this guy is actually, he's really freaking cool, man. He does this with like a Game Boy wall too. Like he circuit bends all sorts of electronics. Like honestly, like it's his day job. So like yay for him. Like live your bliss, bro. It's kind of creepy that that's what this dude's bliss looks like though, because it's an organ of Furbies. And the videos that I've got here, the video doesn't play. I just have a screenshot for you. But what he does is he integrates the mechanics of the Furby into the synthesizer. And when he plays it, they all sing on different pitches and they open their eyes and mouths. And this is not the only Furby hack. This is just this guy's Furby hack. And there are so many others. Yeah, it gets real dark. And all of this is hardware hacking. The Raspberries, you definitely want the Raspberry Pis and the Arduinos because they offer you a lot of accessibility and they're cheap. But everything from the duckies to the gas tanks to the blinky badges and the Furbies, it's all considered hardware hacking, which I basically found out when I started researching. It's like giving a presentation like, what is hacking? And it's like, okay, here we go. You know, it's its whole own branch. So I have links to, oh yeah, special thanks. I download all my slide templates from this place called Slides Carnival. I figured I'd keep it in there because they wanted me to. And then Bunny at the DEF CON HHV Village is my hardware guru, and he's helped me design the Winter Hacker Festival badge that we gave out a couple of years ago. It was a real simple, circular, pretty little purple PCB that had 6 blinky lights on it and a battery. And that was the first thing I had ever, that was the first board I had ever designed, and it was really a cool process. And he was the one who helped me with that, and he's the one that helped me today. I don't know if you have questions or if you'd like to throw those in the chat. If you'd like to organize a HackMiami mesh network, that'd be cool. I'd be down to aim an antenna at some of you. And I put also links to some of the articles that I found that really helped me, because a lot of hardware hacking is also understanding electrical engineering. And I kept a lot of that stuff out of this presentation for, I'm not even gonna lie to you, for one reason. Me explaining that was real rough, and I would rather hold off and explain it at a later talk when I understand it better than to come in here and try to explain to you the benefits of the difference between serial and parallel bit transfer, like, because it gets like that. So are there any things that I can answer or help y'all with before we go ahead and break? I'll make sure that this presentation, the PDF version, is distributed through our Discord so that you can clicky all the links if there was something that you liked that you wanted to find. But please make sure that if there's a link in the chat, oh, that's what's up. Yeah, I'm glad that you learned something. Come to our meetings. We've got experts in every field. Next time I give a talk, it'll be on OSINT or SE when we're ready for another one of those. There's a whole new suite of tools in that field that have been released because, you know, businesses get smart, services get smart. They start blocking, you know, how we search. You gotta come up with new ways. So there's a whole new world of that. So I'm happy that this was, yeah, Discord. Rispetto, can you drop the Discord link again? And then I'll send Rispetto or Rod the PDF version of this. And it should have all the links active and all that good stuff so that you guys can click around and see what I saw. And I'm sorry about that because I'm telling you, 2 a.m. Furby Oregon was a little bit the stuff of my nightmares now. And you know what's the weirdest part? I didn't even hate it. I kind of was vibing on it. That's the weirdest part. I couldn't even be mad at it. I was like, okay, this guy is actually pretty decent with his Furby organ. It was cool. And he's got a Game Boy. He's got, there's a whole YouTube channel. It's kind of sick. So yeah. All right. More details to come on Winter Hacker Festival. And thank y'all for going down that weird hardware hacking rabbit hole with me.
Thank you for the presentation. Any questions? This is the time.
Also, we also do have the hardware channel in the learning and help section if anyone wants to post questions in there after the meeting and want
Do we have a
to.
hardware channel? Because I was looking for it.
It's